Patriots Day stars Mark Wahlberg, John Goodman, Kevin Bacon, Michelle Monahan, J.K. Simmons, and is directed by Peter Berg. Mark Wahlberg and him, in the same year this came out, this snuck in at the very end of 2016, but it's opening worldwide right now, early this year, January. But they also, in the same year, came out with Deepwater Horizon. So just think of that. They made this movie and Patriots Day, like, in the same year. That's crazy. To release one of those movies is enough, but both of them, that's a real double whammy. And this movie tells the tragedy, the true life story of the Boston Marathon bombings back in 2013, not too long ago, and the investigation, the manhunt to catch those responsible, and the story of what happened to a bunch of characters, a lot of people in Boston. And it focuses on a lot of them. Mark Wahlberg is a cop, a fictional character that they put in it to kind of interact with a lot of the real world people that were affected and involved in this horrible, awful tragedy. And this was a very recent tragedy to have a movie based off and released. And you just hope with movies like this, okay, whether they're going to completely represent real life or fictionalize it, sometimes they happen, they take artistic liberties. You hope they represent the truth as much as they can. That's a responsibility to a certain extent, to represent as much of reality as you can. But you want it to be respectful and pay tribute and not exploitate. You don't want it to be an exploitation film. Think of Michael Bay with Pearl Harbor turning a huge tragedy into a wannabe Titanic romance piece of crap. That's a bad way to pay tribute and honor those who lost, died, suffered from tragedies. Movies like this, Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, like Peter Berg knows what he's doing. A lot of movies are able to represent reality, the truth, the facts, and be respectful. And I appreciate that right off the bat, I gotta say. Peter Berg is obviously, he's close with this type of material. He wants to be very respectful to the people involved, and it shows in his movies. And this is a Boston movie too, and I love Boston as a place. It's very iconic, and it's made some of the best movies. Good Will Hunting, The Town, The Departed, this one, Patriots Day, so many movies. You're from Boston? Would you go to Harvard or something? You want to go to Fenway Park? I love Boston. Ted, that's another one. I love Boston. It's a great city. It's iconic. It's got a very distinct feel of, it's got its own personality, really, its own people. Boston strong. You got Mark Wahlberg again. He was in The Departed. He was in Ted. He's here. He's representing Boston. God bless you, Marky Mark. And I didn't know a lot about this actual tragedy and disaster. I didn't know. Like many people, I heard about it, obviously. But going into this, I didn't know who did it. I knew very little about this actual story. So I was happy that this movie played very close to the truth and represented it properly. It was very honorable. It paid respect and tribute, and it told the actual story, the actual facts, so that I learned a lot about this coming out of the movie. I knew a lot more than I ever did beforehand. I was very happy about that. It was like a real history lesson, a cinematic one, a damn good cinematic one too. This movie's a fantastic movie. All the acting, Mark Wahlberg, as always, great. Michelle Monahan, really good. A small role, but really good as his wife. We got John Goodman, fantastic. I keep slipping into the Boston accent. You got Kevin Bacon here, as always awesome. J.K. Simmons, great. Not to mention the actors that played the two villains, the two bombers, the two evil piece of shit motherfucking cocksuckers. Those guys, they did a good job, because from the time we first meet them throughout the movie, every time I see them, my stomach would twist and turn, and I was getting filled with some Boston hate. I was like, I want to reach through that screen, grab those motherfuckers by the throat, and choke them till the fucking eyes pop out of their fucking heads. They were so dislikable. And yet, they weren't cardboard cutouts of villains. They were fleshed out as much as they deserve or would be, if you think about it. They weren't just like, we're obvious villains. Like, they gave them a certain amount of depth. Because, yeah, they were evil pieces of shit, horrible bastards attacking a city in an act of terrorism. And, you know, it portrays them bad, obviously, as it shouldn't. It shouldn't portray them in a gray zone where it's like, well, maybe they had a point. I think that would be bad. You know, movies, you don't want them to get too political, but maybe take a side in certain instances like this. You know, some movies, it's okay for like 13 hours. Very surprised that movie was not very political. It just kind of told the story. This one, it takes a side, as it should, the side against terrorism, because I'll stand out on a ledge and say, I think terrorism is wrong, and those are the bad guys. And they were villainous. This movie had some really, like I said, just made you sick to your stomach at times. The tension, the horror when it gets to the tragedy, the bombings, I was floored. I was sitting there just in shock, just horrified at what I was seeing. And then after that, so much stuff happens after that, the manhunt and everything involved. Seriously, on the edge of my seat constantly, so much tension, like, oh God, I feel sick. I'm just so tense. I'm so tense. I'm just, oh, motherfucker. So much horror, tension, tragedy, and sadness, but it still has a lighthearted edge at times. There are some funny jokes, likable characters, people we follow, get invested in, incredibly emotional at times. You get really invested in the story, just how much you hate those motherfuckers, how much you like the good guys. Go get them, Mocky Mock. Fuck them up. Come on. And then the just pride in Boston, Boston strong. So many great moments of just like pro Boston, like, isn't Boston awesome? So much great stuff. This is a fantastic movie, incredibly well written, directed, as I said, Peter Berg. He's respectful. He's got integrity. He's telling a good, true-to-life story, and he's doing a fantastic job with it. When it gets to the action bits or the horrifying tension bits, the guy knows what he's doing. It's really gritty, raw, horrifying, just tense, lifelike, a lot of real grounded filmmaking tactics, a lot of real-world footage, I believe, and aping real-world footage. The movie has moments of tension where it just drags out and you're like, oh my god, I don't know if I can handle this. Moments that are just scary, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Is this character gonna do what I think they're gonna? Go for it, you motherfucker! Do it! Come on! Like, so many moments where you're just so invested in these characters, so heartbreaking and tragic with how their involvement in the marathon bombings is and where their stories are going to go. It represents the real life people in their stories, because Mark Wahlberg's not a real character. He's there to basically be able to interact and show all the other characters' stories in a hopefully respectable way. I found it good and respectable. I mean, the guy already made Deepwater Horizon the same year, and this was fantastic, and this is equally as great. He did a fantastic, magnificent job with this movie. Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg, if you want to keep doing it, keep making these based on true life stories, because you're knocking them out of the park one after the other, right out of Fenway Park. This was a heartbreaking, tragic movie. I was so invested, so on the edge of my seat into the story. They did a wonderful job. And the movie also is just great for Boston as a Boston movie. It really represents that city well. It shows that city's got flavor, it's got character, it's got personality, it's got heart. It's really got some heart to it. It's a very heartfelt movie in its own right with the characters and everything, but with Boston, you feel that pride for Boston that they have. It's like, yeah, Boston's awesome. It's a great movie. It's just a well-made movie on its own right, and the fact that it's representing history properly and telling the story truthfully, that makes it extra good. It's a magnificent movie. I'd give it an A. I think it's fantastic. Definitely check it out. It's one of the best Boston movies, and I love me a Boston movie, like I said. So many of them. Comment below, tell me your thoughts on Patriots Day. And what's your favorite Boston movie? When I think about it, it's hard. There's so many. I mean, even The Heat was a Boston movie. I forget about that one. But like The Departed comes to mind. This could be up there. The Departed, right now I'll say The Departed. How's my Boston accent? I affect it just because I like it. I'm not making fun. It's because I like them. I like Boston, that's why I do it. Comment below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.